Hello everybody, my name is Tianyu Jiang. Today I'm going to talk about the corporate governance performance of Verizon Communication. First, let's have a brief introduction about Verizon. Verizon is a broadband and telecommunications company in the United States, mainly providing communications, information, and entertainment products and services to consumers, business, and governmental agencies from all over the world. By September 2014, it has become the largest wireless communication service provider in the United States. Verizon's operations are divided into three main business units: wireless, residential and small business services, and enterprise services. By September 2013, Verizon's 4G LTE network has covered over 303 million people, and by September 2014, Verizon had gained 125.3 million wireless subscribers. In 2014, Verizon also bought the remaining stake that Vodafone owned in the Verizon Wireless for $130 billion, becoming the third largest corporate deal ever signed. Then let's look at the financial information about Verizon. As the chart shows, the total market capitalization is 205 billion, and the enterprise value is 310 billion. Compared to its major competitors like AT&T and the industry average market cap, it is very high. The stock price now is 50.47 with an uptrend shown from last 3 years. The revenue in 2014 is 128 billion with quarterly growth rate of 3.8. With the ROE of 83% and the operating margin of 15%, Verizon has shown its great profitability. However, the current ratio is just 0.8, which is relatively low, suggesting that Verizon may be in an unhealthy financial condition. Then let's talk about the management team about Verizon. The board of directors of Verizon consists of 12 members with a majority of independent directors. There are 4 standing committees of the board. They are audit, corporate governance, and policy, finance, and human resources. Those members of these 4 committees must be independent as required by the company's bylaws. There is no nomination committee and compensation committee. The Corporate Governance and Policy Committee is in charge of the nomination of Board of Directors, and the Human Resources Committee is in charge of the compensation issues. There are 13 members in the senior executive management team of Verizon, with the CEO also served as the chairman of the board, which may increase the potential risk of agency problem and also increase the agency cost. Lowell C. McAdam, the current chairman and CEO of Verizon, he is one of the architects of today's global wireless industry. According to the compensation policy stated in the proxy statement, to motivate more executives to contribute high efficiency performance, the composition of the performance-based compensation in Verizon are 10% fixed payment and 90% incentive-based payment of both short-term and long-term incentives. In 2014, the base salary of Mr. McAdam represents 8% of total compensation, while the stock awards are setting 65 of total, which is the most contributed item of his compensation. This can greatly align managers' interests with the shareholders. Finally, let's talk about the corporate governance practice. After taking the 100 questions in the toolkit, the overall score of Verizon is 78, showing a weak level of corporate governance performance in all five categories, but it is very close to a good performance. Among these five categories, the rights of shareholders and the responsibilities of board of directors are defined relatively well. The rest of stakeholders and disclosure performed not so well. To recover from this weak performance, there are three steps that they may take. First, Verizon need to recognize the role of customers, suppliers, and business partners in the company bylaws towards the long-term success. Those are all important components of stakeholder, and their rights must be defined. Second, transparency is the most important link in corporate governance. There was a shareholder once sued Verizon just after the deal of buying stakes from Vodafone was announced, claiming that they overpaid for Vodafone's share of venture. This story shows that there is an issue of inadequate transparency of Verizon. So Verizon must enhance their transparency by making a written disclosure policy that fully expresses the company's commitment to transparency and make this disclosure policy easily available. Third, to enhance Verizon's credibility, the board of directors must emphasize the audit policy. I have noticed that there were only 11 internal audit committee meetings held in 2014, which is quite a low frequency, and Verizon hasn't changed their external auditor since 2000. The board of directors must ensure that the audit committee meet often enough to perform its duties effectively, and they also should establish a rule to rotate external auditors every 2 years. After clarifying stakeholders' rights and roles, increasing transparency, and fixing audit policy, the overall corporate governance performance of Verizon could be improved. That's all about my presentation. Thank you.